Okay, so and for today's video, I kind of just want to talk about essentially just being a late bloomer. It's something I've always been very hesitant to talk about because there's just like an expectation of you, and then when you tell people, oh, I've never experienced this certain thing yet, they look at you kind of like, oh, like what's wrong with you? It definitely was something I've struggled a lot. I struggled a lot with when I was younger. Like the embarrassment, the frustration I felt of just not being able to cultivate the kind of relationships I really wanted. It's something I've always kind of struggled with. And I've definitely talked about it over the years, with different counselors and everything like that. But it's something that I do still struggle with. So basically, in this video, I just kind of want to just talk about like how it was growing up as like a late bloomer, as a female, especially kind of in the Black community, because sometimes in the Black community where like if you do something no sometimes in the Black community when you don't do things the traditional way, you're looked at as very odd, you're looked at as like strange or weird, or like in a way you kind of feel defective. And obviously that's not true, but that's just sometimes how you feel. And I'm 29 now, but you know telling a 19, 20-year-old who has had friends who all were in like long-term relationships, um you just start to look at yourself and you just feel like, what's wrong with me? Like why hasn't this happened for me yet? So yeah, so basically what I mean by late bloomer is like all through middle school, no like relationships, no like kiss or anything like that. Even all through high school, I really didn't start to really essentially, I'll say, what's the word? I'll just say I just had all my firsts after the age of like 18, right? And that would be considered like a late bloomer because like, one of my all-time favorite shows, and this show has definitely warped my reality. And I can admit when I get influenced. Like I'm someone who gets like very easily influenced by shows. So the show that warped my reality um when it comes to relationships and how they should be done was Degrassi: The Next Generation. That is my all-time favorite show. I love it hands down. I watch it every year. But that show literally shaped how I thought relationships were supposed to be since I was actually 10. Yeah, at 10 I should have been watching, I don't know, Nickelodeon or something, but I'm watching Degrassi: The Next Generation. I love that. I'm telling you, love that show hands down. Watch it every year. But that show definitely warped how I thought relationships were supposed to be. And I remember when I was 10 just being so eager to get to high school to replicate what I seen on TV. Now, I didn't really have like people kind of like my like older people talking to me about, oh, like this is what a relationship should look like, or this is what you should do in a relationship. Like I wasn't one to really see that. So I'm basing how things should be from this show, right? And so I finally get to high school and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to be parties. It's going to be boyfriends and relationships and drinking and experimenting with different, substances. I was that girl. I really wanted to be living my best life in high school. Now, one thing, I went to a kind of strange high school. I don't know. I'm not gonna say what it is, but you know, it was up in Philly. It was in Philly. It was a small little school. So that was already one strike against me, you know, because in Degrassi, it's like more of a my high school. I think it was only 50 something seniors that graduated. It was a very small. It was a very small school. It was a very small class. Another thing in school, I was painfully shy and awkward. Okay, listen, I'm gonna just keep it real. Okay, I was a very strange teenager. I was a very strange teenager. Okay, and I knew that very early on from the things that I actually liked. So, but anyway, I didn't really talk to that many guys. Like I would see them around, but it was nothing like romantically really happened with them at all. I thought 10th grade would be different. I thought I was one of those people that was like, oh, you know, oh, ninth grade is gonna be my year. Oh, 10th grade is gonna be my year. Oh, senior is gonna be my year. And it was just so hard to watch other people, you know, just being, oh, you know, like showing their relationships and posting it on Instagram and stuff like that. And it's like, as a teenager, it's like, damn, it's like, you know, why can't I have that? Like, you know, why can't I cultivate that? Like, why am I not getting what I'm seeing on TV? Now, mind you, this is my 14-year-old, 15, 16-year-old brain just like getting so upset with myself because none of these things that I think should be happening are happening for me. Now, could I have been better at putting myself out there trying? Yes, it's just I was just very awkward, okay? And I can admit that. So, as the years went on, I got to college and finally I was able to, you know, just do all those things that I was seeing. Um yeah, kind of at like 19, that's when I kind of blossomed more into myself. You know, it's like I started having more people around me, more friends and stuff like that. So, you know, I actually started having fun. I started to go to parties and everything. You know, kind of throughout my life, I've kind of always struggled with relationships. So I still am trying to find my footing. But I mean, that's really it. What being a late bloomer has kind of taught me about myself is kind of I have a lot of it's a lot of fear I have about putting myself out there and opening up to others. That's that's kind of always been scary for me, and I don't know why. And then too, to end it off, a pro about I would say a good thing about being a late bloomer is like I think you really get to know yourself and you're okay with kind of just sitting by yourself and just being alone with yourself. A con, I feel like, for being a late bloomer is more internally. You know, you just feel like you're missing out on so much of life. You know, you feel like you're missing out on so many experiences and so many things. They just hold themselves back a lot. I don't know. Well, for me, it probably was due to like fear and a lot of other things that I probably had going on in my own mind. But yeah, I mean, again, like I said, that's really it for this video. And thank you for watching. Bye.